Hello there. Today I am going to read the story of Rumplestiltskin. There was once a poor miller whose daughter was so beautiful the king himself came to see her. The miller, hoping the king might wish to make the daughter his bride, bragged to him, "Not only is my daughter lovely, she can spin straw into gold." When the king heard this, he ordered that the girl be brought to the castle. When the miller's daughter arrived at the castle, the king showed her to a room filled to the ceiling with straw. In the corner was a spinning wheel. "Now get to work," he said, "but I warn you, if you don't spin this straw into gold by morning, you shall lose your life." Then he locked the door and left the girl inside, all alone. The poor girl began to weep, for she knew nothing about turning straw into gold. Suddenly the door opened, and a dwarf entered the room. "Why are you crying?" he asked. When the girl told him, the dwarf said, "What will you give me if I spin it for you?" The girl promised him the necklace around her neck, and so the dwarf set to work. Whir, whir, whir. By morning, the straw was spun into gold, and the dwarf had vanished. The king was surprised and delighted, but the sight of so much gold made him even greedier. He led the girl to a still larger room filled with straw, and said, "If you value your life, you will spin all this straw into gold by morning." No sooner had the king left the room than the dwarf appeared again. This time the girl gave him the ring from her finger. Once more the little man spinned all through the night and disappeared the moment the job was done. When the king entered the room the next morning, he had to shield his eyes from the brilliance of all the gold about him. He was very much impressed, but still he hungered for more. He led the miller's daughter to an even bigger room filled with more straw, and once again ordered her to spin it into gold by morning. "If you succeed," he told her, "I will make you my wife." For even though she was just a common girl, he was sure he would never find a richer bride. When the young girl was alone, the dwarf appeared once more. "But I have nothing more to give you," said the poor girl. "Just promise me your firstborn child," replied the dwarf. The girl did so, for she doubted that such a thing would ever come to pass. So the little man spinned the straw into gold. The king then married her, and the miller's beautiful daughter became a queen. A year passed, and the queen forgot the funny little man who had helped her. But when she had her first child, the dwarf appeared before her and demanded that she keep her promise. The queen pleaded with him. "I will give you anything," she said, "all the treasures of the world, but please, let me keep my child." The little man just shook his head and replied, "A living thing is worth more to me than all the treasure in the world." This made the queen weep so bitterly that at last the dwarf felt sorry for her. "Very well," said he, "I will give you 3 days in which to guess my name, and if you do, you may keep your child." On the first day, the queen guessed every name she ever knew, but to all of them the little man replied, "That's not my name." On the second day, the queen sent all her servants into the kingdom to find as many names as they could, and some of the names were very strange indeed. "Is your name ribs of beef or mutton chops?" she asked the dwarf, but to each he only replied, "That's not my name." On the eve of the third day, the queen was beside herself with grief. She could think of no more names and did not know what to do. Then, at dawn, a messenger came to the queen with a strange story. The night before he rode through the forest, he saw a funny little man dancing around a fire. As he danced, the little man had sung, "Today I'll brew, tomorrow I'll bake, soon I'll have the queen's namesake. Oh, how hard it is to play my game, for Rumplestiltskin is my name." When she heard this, the queen was overjoyed. That day, when the dwarf appeared, ready to take the child, she said, "Is your name Henry?" "That's not my name," said the dwarf with a smile. "Well then, is it Carl?" "That's not my name." "Then can it be Rumplestiltskin?" When he heard this, the dwarf screamed with rage. "The devil must have told you." Then he stumped his foot so hard it broke right in two. And that was the end of Rumplestiltskin.